Hi and welcome to this DCP web tutorial. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to do website keyword research for free, and I'll also give you some tips for optimizing your website. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the web browser. So I'm on my website on this particular blog post, and I'll put a link to this blog post in the YouTube description. This blog post is all about installing Keyword Surfer. So this is a software application that you can install on Google Chrome for free, and you can download this software, install it on your Google Chrome web browser, and then you can do keyword searching and you can get some data back for your keyword searches to understand what keywords to rank in Google search and what to optimize for your business. If we scroll down the page a little bit, you want to click on this link right here, and that will take you all the way down to the bottom where you can watch the video. But it might be worth reading through some of this information as well, just to get up to speed. But we're going to go through this tool and explain how to use it as well. Okay, so after you've read through this blog post and you've gone and clicked on this link and downloaded and followed the instructions in this video, you can go ahead and open up a new tab. We can close down that blog post, and inside Google search I'm going to type in the keyword London web designers. So I run a business, it's a website design company, and I'm based in London. You can see these Google searches slightly different now, right? After you've installed this plugin, you get some stats up here, and you also get the tool down here. Now, depending on which country you're based in, you want to click the flag option down here, and you want to select the relevant country that you reside in, so that you get search volume results based on your geographic location, which is important, right? So this is one keyword that I really want to rank in Google search. So if we scroll down the page a little bit, we can see a map results. So here I am in the map results, and if we scroll down a little bit more, here you can see me in Google search results as well. So that's quite powerful, because if you think about it, every month on average there's 4,400 searches for that particular key term, and if I wanted to pay for advertising up here, I'll be paying $12.15 per click, which is very expensive. So if we optimize our websites and we put a lot of effort into our content on our websites, in our blog posts and our pages, then we get an opportunity to rank higher in Google search for these powerful keywords that can help to generate business for us. So depending on your company or what you do, you want to type in keywords into Google search and see what the search volume is like, see what the cost per click is like, and that kind of gets you an idea, an understanding of whether this keyword is worth ranking in Google search. You can also look at the search results return. It says 51 million search results, so it's quite a competitive keyword in terms of ranking in Google search. So how do I go about taking this keyword and incorporating it into my website? Let's explain that in a moment, but there's one thing that I suggest that you do is open up your Microsoft Excel or open up LibreOffice spreadsheets, open up somewhere where you can document some information. So if we just push this to one side, and if I take this keyword and inside the spreadsheet, you just want to write keyword here, right? And then you want to write volume and then cost per click. So we've got these three titles here, and there's no point in searching for these keywords and looking for all this information if you don't start to document it. It doesn't quite make sense, right? If you find something that you think is worth ranking in Google search, then we should try to document that. So let's take this keyword, London web designers, we'll paste it in here. We'll take this search volume 4,400. Remember, these are estimates, so they may not be like 100% accurate, and depending on where you're located, the cost might fluctuate. We can click on C, right click on it, go to format cells. We really want to set this to dollars, so we'll go to currency, and then we should be able to set this to United States dollar, and now we're seeing $12. Let's click here, and then we can left align it, and we just want to save this work as we're going along. So we're going to add a few more things to this spreadsheet. Let's just go to save, click here, and we'll click here. Let's just go to my desktop quickly, and we'll go into here, and let's just call this keyword research -1. So now you've got a spreadsheet where you can document the keywords that you're finding and the ones that you think are useful to rank in Google search. Now we're going to look at my website in a moment. I'm going to explain how I incorporate some of these keywords into my content and build out really strong pages for this type of content. But before we do that, let's just have a look at this tool, because we get some other useful information here. So when we type that in, it's giving us definitive information about that keyword. But Keyword Surfer here, in the drop down, if I were to select UK, it's giving me some alternative keywords, and it gives me quite a lot, right? So I've got like 27 alternative keywords that I can think about ranking in Google search as well. Let's try and make this a bit wider so that we can see the full words, right? So something like freelance website design, that's not really what I'm about. I run a company, a business, I'm not a freelancer. So these ones are not so relevant, but like something like website developer London, it has a very low search volume, right? Only 260, but that means it's less competitive and more than likely it's a bit easier to rank in Google search. So when we type that in, we can see the search volume. The cost per click is actually very high, so it must be a very competitive keyword. And at present, I don't think I rank on Google page 1 for this keyword, but let's have a check. The easy way to check is press Control F on your keyboard, and I can just type in DCP. That's my company name. Maybe we'll go to page 2 and we'll check that. And now you can see I'm on page 2. So this is the advert. So I'm at really position 12, right? Around position 12 for that keyword. So that's something that I could maybe work harder on to try and rank better in Google search, to try and generate some business on the back of that particular keyword. So I'm going to document that. This is some useful information, right? So we've got some new keyword in here. Let's just select all of this. We'll sort out the formatting in a moment, but for now we just got the information in there. And it might also be worth like just having a little field here called current rank. All right, where am I currently positioned? For this one I'm positioned in 12, and I believe this one is like 2, right? Let's just go and double check that. We can go back, and we can look at that London web designers. These are all paid adverts. This is position 1. This is position 2, this is position 3. So I'm actually at like roughly position 3. Now depending where you're located, the search results return may differ. So if you're a business and you're based out in America, for example, or you're in some other part of the UK and you look for London web designers, you may not necessarily see my company. You may see other companies listed there, but you should see me roughly in at least on the first page somewhere for that particular keyword result. Because remember, Google now really returns results that are geographically located. Just looking at the location, it can't, Google is very cheeky. It knows where you're located, and when it knows where you're located, it's going to try and return results that are as close to you as possible, which makes sense. Why would it send you why would it offer you a search result for a website design company based all the way on the other side of London when there's a good one that's just around the corner from your house or your business location, right? So we can take other keywords. Three-worded keywords tend to be easier to rank in Google search, and 2-worded keywords tend to be a lot more difficult. So something like website designer, if we were to look at that keyword, right, it's a very popular keyword. Think about it, I'm a website design company. People want to rank for that particular keyword. Lots of people do. So if we take that keyword, we can put it back into our spreadsheet. We're missing a search volume there. Let's just put that in there actually. I like to keep things clean. We did have it there, I think got deleted by accident. We'll put it back. So for this one, we can see it returns a lot of search results, 165,000. So it's very big, and it's $11.70 for the pay-per-click cost. And let's just unbold all of this stuff because right now it's bolding every line like this. You can maybe zoom out a little bit here. And where am I in Google search? So how can I find that? Press Control F and type in DCP, and you can see there's my map result. So I put a lot of energy in trying to collect a lot of testimonials. So you can see like 4.9, you can see 341 reviews, right? So I try and get a lot of reviews in Google search. So anyone sees my map listing, there's a good chance that they're going to click on that. But then in Google search, I'm listed at position 1 for that particular keyword, right? Position 1. Like I said, depending on your location, because that's quite a generic term, it's not a geographic location, you may see a different result in position 1. But based on what I see, it's at position 1. Maybe you'll see me a bit further down. If you're based on another part of London, maybe Google will push another website that's closer to you, higher up in the search results for your particular search. But that's what I'm seeing right now, so that's what I'll type in, position 1, which is good for me, right? Another way to test that is you can copy this URL. So you can copy the search result. You can open up a different web browser, like something that you don't use that often. You can go into a private window, and then you can run that same search again. and you can see maybe something a bit more generic in the search results, but you still see me at position 1 here, right? Even though I'm in incognito mode and I'm also running a clean browser where I've not done any searching in Google. So it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. That's a pretty good result for me. So how do I take these 3 basic keywords or this sort of information, how do I incorporate it into my website to help boost my ranking? Okay, so let's go ahead and look at my website quickly. So we're going to go to dcpweb.co.uk, and there's a couple of key things on this website that I've done to try and help rank better in Google search. So if we look at the page title at the top, it says web designers, it says web design London, it says website designers, and then it's got DCP written at the end. DCP is not at the beginning, it's at the very end. It's the least important keyword. The most important is website designers, and lo and behold, look what you see me ranking pretty well for that key term, right? And I should also rank pretty well for web design London and website designers, those key terms as well. So we can check that. Let's just try out website designers, and we can look at the search volume and what comes back here. So here's website designers. Let's add it to our spreadsheet. This doesn't do too much volume, but that's okay. You don't need massive amounts of traffic in order to generate business. You just need some traffic that's qualified and is going to help you to rank in Google search. So right now I'm in the map listings pretty well, but I'm not really getting shown in the first page. So maybe I'm in the second page somewhere, possibly. Here I am, right? So we can just count from, this is an advert, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can say we're at like roughly around position 14 for that particular keyword, which is okay. Better to be on page 1, better to be as high as position on page 1. And these are only a handful of keywords. I rank in Google search for many, many more keywords. I'm just giving you an idea of how to do the research for the keywords, and let's look at how do we incorporate them. So we can incorporate them in our page title first. We want to mention keywords that we want to rank high for in Google search. It makes sense that the page title, which is right up here in the web browser, the page title incorporates those keywords. So when we type something in like, let's just do London web designers, and when we see that search result, we can see here, we can see web designers, web design London, website designers, right? And then DCP will be sitting just off the edge there. So you can see the company above me does something very similar, and the one below me does something very similar. So there's something going on there, right? We're all doing something very, very similar, and we all rank pretty well in Google search. So there's a synergy between what we're doing. If we press Control F and we look for website, just look for the word web for the minute, and if we go down to the search results, now you can look at this search result here and the ones below. You can see how many times the word web is mentioned in the permutations. So not just, it's DCP web design London agency, get a free website design quote, DCP London web designers, professional business web design solutions. So in that opening sentence or that information, and I've also incorporated my phone number, you can imagine I've mentioned different permutations of website design services. I've got web design London agency, I've got get a free web design quote, and then we've got DCP London web designers, and then we've got professional business web design, right, solutions. So I'm mentioning different variations of these keywords or permutations of other keywords inside the meta description. So what is the meta description? You don't really see that on your website. When you right click and you go to inspect, not inspect, let's do that again. When we right click and we view source, can we view source? Yeah, view page source. Up here you see the page title, and then underneath you're going to see the meta description. So every single page that we create, we're able to tell Google what information we want to display underneath our search result. And if we incorporate keywords into those meta descriptions, we've got a better chance to rank for those keywords. I'm not saying that if you put them in there, you're going to be on page 1 straight away, especially if you're going for very, very competitive keywords. But if you start from that basis on day 1, then at least you're optimizing your website for better search results, right? That's quite important. Let's go back to my website. I'm actually going to get you guys to install another piece of software, and I'm going to put a link to that in the YouTube description. It's called SEO Quake, right? Q-U-A-K-E, SEO Quake. So I will actually, in fact, if we go to my blog, let's just type in Q-U-A-K-E, Quake, and here you can see the tool. I'm going to put a link to this blog post in the YouTube description so that you can read about it and also install this software as well. This is very useful. This is more for on-site optimization. So if you scroll down the page, you can watch this video and then go ahead and read this blog post, and it will give you some information about what this tool is. But let's go ahead and use it now. So let's go back to my home page, and we're going to go ahead and click on this tool right here. It's called SEO Quake. We click on it and it gives us some information right at the top here. So we can look at density, and density is about what words are written on this page and how many times they're mentioned and so forth. Or we can do a diagnosis. We can look at internal links and external links. There's quite a lot of information to look through up here, but let's look at diagnosis first. When we click that, it gives us lots of useful information. One thing that we need to do, and always make sure you do, is wherever you're displaying images on your web page, you want to try and optimize those images, and you want to give them alt tags. Alt tags are for people with visual impairments, or if they're using a screen reader, this screen reader would read what this image is about. So typically this one will be labeled business website design because it's the image that belongs to that particular section, right? So alt tags are very, very important. You should do a bit of research into that, image alt tags, depending on if you were using WordPress, or I'm using a custom CMS that I built myself. If you're using WordPress, you can quite easily add alt tags or whatever web development software that you're using. If we go back to SEO Quake, we looked at the alt tags, but another thing that's quite important is something called the HTML header tags, right? So here you can see a H1 tag, it says web designers, web design London, website designers. So website designers, there it is, position 14, web designers at the beginning, there it is, position 1, and web design London, I don't think we've looked for that one yet, but let's try. Let's do website design London. Let's go ahead and grab that. And let's see if I'm somewhere on page 1. I'm not on page 1. So let's see if we're on page 2. Not on page 2 either. So let's just keep checking. So we're on page 3, right? Page 3, we can say this will be 30, 29, 28, 27. So about position 27. So that's something that I could look at and try and improve the ranking of that particular key term, because I can see that it generates volume, and I can see people are paying to pay per click for that particular keyword. So I'm going to give you some kind of ideas of how to do that in a moment. Let's just sort out these fonts that really bothers me. Let's set them all to like the same font style. And there we go. So let's go back to this tool, this SEO tool, keyword analysis. So we've got all of these different header tags. Now here's the truth, you don't have to place your header tags in priority order. So if you look at this H1 tag, where would you think that would be? Typically you would think the header tag with the first one, the main one, would probably be up here somewhere, but actually it's right down at the bottom here in this scrolling text. It's right down here, probably right here. That's my header 1 tag right there. Right, so you don't have to place your header tags at the top and do H1 at the top, H2 underneath, H3 underneath that, and so forth. You can place your header tags throughout your web page wherever you choose to place them. That's your choice, right? It's no one else's choice. You're building the website. There's no like top-down level priority, but you can see a lot of keywords that are incorporated into this page. The main one that I really want to focus on is web design, right? So if I press Control F and type in web design, you can see that it's mentioned 53 times throughout this page. So that's quite a lot of times, right? I've mentioned, well, that's not entirely true, because web designers is not actually web design, right? But we can actually analyze that in a bit more clearer way. But if I start to scroll through this page, you can see where that keyword or variations of that keyword are placed throughout the page. And you can see they're spread out a little bit. They're not all packed together too tightly. So things read a bit more naturally, and there's different variations. There might be web design, website design, web designers, different variations of that particular keyword, right? Rather than just using one type of mentioning the same keyword over and over. You don't really want to do that. It makes your website look a bit rubbish, to be fair. Let's go back to the SEO analysis tool. So we looked at header tags. You can see there's quite a few of them. Often I see websites that are built in WordPress and the header tags are all over the place. They're just like, there's no thought in it. So like the H1 tag will say like homepage, for example, which is not very useful. If I gave you a piece of paper and said, or gave you a book, and on the book on the front cover it said homepage, you wouldn't really know what the content is inside. But if it said web designers, London web design, website designers, without you even opening the book, you can take a good guess as to what that content is inside, right? We have levels of header tags. So we have H2, you can think of like H1 top priority, these are all H2 tags. Then you've got H3 tags, H4 and H5, and I believe header tags go all the way up to H6, right? So you can see one right at the bottom, H6. So I've tried to use all the header tags possible, and added all keywords that relate to the things that I want to offer, like business website design, e-commerce, lead generation, web design agency London, web design showcase projects, right? All the different keywords are in here. Not all of them are keywords. So what our customers say, latest blog post, these are not keyword related. So you can mix it up a little bit, but you know, you want to try and incorporate your keywords into your header tag. So it takes a lot of thought. 9 times out of 10, it's better to try and type all of this out in a Word document, really get some good structure in a Word document, and then start to build and implement your website. So in a Word document, I would start with just writing out this block of text, and then I would just have that at the top of my Word document, and then I can think about design later. The written words on your page are going to be more important than the design when you start a web design project. You can make it look beautiful, but if your website doesn't speak to the search engines correctly, you can't rank in Google search correctly. So the words that you write are very, very important. Let's go back to this tool, and there's another tool over here called density. So let's look at density, and this gives us quite a lot of information. So it tells me on my home page there is 6,699 words. 2-word key phrases, there's 1,090. 3-word key phrases, 1,141, and 4-word key phrases, 1,113. So I wrote a lot of content. If you scroll right down to the bottom of this page, you can see all of the content that I've written. It's right down here. All of that is written text, right? I know it's a bit bonkers looking at it like this, but that's all written text, right, for that page. So I've spent a lot of time and energy writing content that's really meaningful to the user, but also meaningful to the search engine. Really, this is a whole story of my business, because I set up my business 17 years ago, and I wanted to write a lot of rich content. But if you look at my website, and if we scroll through it, right, we've got a bit of block of text there, we've got a little bit of text over here, some over here, some over here, speaking about the different services. We've got these little bullets here, or these icons with a little bit of text. We've got some portfolio work, then we've got some testimonials here, we've got some blog posts, and then we've got get a free quote. So I didn't incorporate a massive amount of text, what I would consider to be, you know, the core body of the content. The big bulk of content is in this text scroller, and this has a lot of useful information, a lot of insight, a lot of written content that's themed around what I do. It even talks about a little bit about the history of my business, the people that work for me, my staff, a lot of useful information, what I consider to be useful information. And if you feed that to the search engine, then you've got good opportunities to incorporate a lot of different keywords into your content. If you write only 300 words on your page, you can only mention keywords so many times. But if you've got a lot of content, you can mention them more often, and you can get a better density of keywords in your pages, right? So you can mention that London web designers a few times, and you can do web developers and website designers. You can mention these a few more times, so you're emphasizing things to the search engine that these are things that I want to rank high for in Google search. So if we go back to SEO quick, and we look at one word, you know, the word web or website, you can see that it's mentioned 110 times, it's mentioned 110 times here, but the density is quite low, right? It's only about 1% or 2%, just under 2%. And when I write my keywords and when I write my content, I try to aim for densities under 3%, right? So if that word website was mentioned a lot of times and I had very little content, it might be like 10 or 12% density, and I believe that's a bit too high. You're mentioning it too many times, and then the website or your page doesn't read very well, right? Let's look at 2 keywords. So you've got like your business, we've got web design, website design, web development. Let's unclick that one, and we've got web designers. So these ones here, really these 4 here, not the first one, but these 4, you can see I've mentioned it a few times. The density is very low, which is pretty good. You don't want it to be too high. And there's all these other permutations of 2 keywords. So really this tool is, it's not really looking at your proper keywords, it's just matching two words together throughout all of your content, like website designers, and you'll notice that it gives you a bit more information here. So these little elements here, these little rollovers, the T stands for the title, the page title. Website design is mentioned in the page title up here. You can see it, web design right there, right? And then it's telling us it's in the description, so it's in the meta description. So when we right click and we look at the source code, the word website design is mentioned in the meta description here as well. And it's also telling me that it's in the keywords. So if you look at the keywords, which is a bit old school, so you don't really need to put, I still do it to be fair, keywords here. So I've got web designers, website design London, and so forth. I still use keywords, although Google doesn't really recognize them that much now. Other search engines or other tools on the internet might want to read that information, so you still put keywords in if you have the opportunity to do so. I don't think it's a bad thing to do. Then it's saying that it's also in the H1 tag, it's in the main header tag, that keyword web design. And also web designers is the same, but website design and web development is only in the description tag, right? So this is some useful information that is important to know what we're putting into our pages. Are they incorporated correctly? We call this like technical SEO in some ways. You know, are we optimizing our pages to the best possible keywords, right? So if we click on three-worded ones, then we can see there's lots of different three-worded ones. Somewhere in here, you've got like Web Design London. So Web Design London, that's at position 27. So it's mentioned in the title, description, and keywords. It's not mentioned that many times in the content, but that's okay. We can always go back and optimize these keywords and pages. Now, in some cases, it's worth also building later pages that may actually be labeled as these, right? So I could build a page called, right now I've got one called website design here, for example. So the URL would be dcpweb.com/website design, but there's nothing stopping me from building a whole page, writing some really good content for DCP London web designers. So if we go back to Google search, if you know, there's loads of different locations in London, but one popular location, let's take a couple of examples. Let's look at East Ham. This is not really a popular location, but East Ham, let's just do East Ham web design. I think I rank well for that on that particular key term. Let's have a look here. So East Ham web designers. East Ham is a location not too far from where I live, right? And there's a lot of businesses there. There's a lot of people there. You know, it's just a general area in London, East London, and you can see the map here, and you can see that's my business right there, DCP. Here you can see me in the Google search results, and here you can see I built a page dedicated to that subject area. So rather than trying to incorporate all them keywords onto my homepage, which doesn't quite make sense, build a page that is dedicated to that subject area. So here it is, website design, East Ham E6, right? And I've written the content, then I've got the header tag here. This is actually the H1 tag, website design East London or East Ham, and I've written some content, and it's nowhere near as large as the content as my homepage. It doesn't need to be, because this is not as competitive as the word web designers, right? That keyword. So if we go back to Google search, let's just try and do that. I think it's this one here, right? Let's just go forward here. We can see that it returns only 2 million results, right? So the density is not so high, and these people are all pay-per-clicking for it, and I'm ranking on page 1 of Google. And if we look at that page, let's just open it. Let's just see how much. Remember, my homepage had something like 6,699 words. This website design page for East London, or East Ham should I say, we can check the density on that one, and it has 1,352 words. You can see you can get away with writing a lot less content, but be very definitive. It's about that subject area. It's not mentioning other areas of London, it's just about East Ham. And maybe that page will generate 1 or 2 customers a year. It may not generate a massive amount of business for me, but it didn't take a massive amount of time to write the content. So if you're a service-based business, or even if you're, you know, you offer some sort of product where it's a service, maybe you're a cleaning company, maybe you're some sort of repair company, or even if you're a car recovery company for breakdowns. You could build sub pages like this and keyword them up, and try and rank in Google search for those definitive terms. Now, not a lot of people may look for that particular term. They may not look for East Ham web designers. Maybe, even the search results here say, look, not many people are looking for it. But I don't need thousands of people to look for it. I only need 20 people a year to look for it. And out of them 20, if 2 or 3 people buy a website from me, even if one person buys a website from me, the time and energy that I've put in to build that page would make financial sense, right? It didn't take me a massive time to write this content. It's only like 1,300 words, so it's maybe 2 hours work at the most. But if I sell a website for, I don't know, £1,000, that's 2 hours work generating £1,000 worth of business. If I can do that twice a year, I'll be quite happy. It'll be quite a good result. And I've actually had some customers contact me from East Ham, so I do believe this is benefiting me, right? So this is a good way to optimize content for geographic locations. I think it's quite important that you take that approach as well. It's entirely your choice, but I think it's a wise thing to do. So you can also take that same logic and look at a different location. This is Soho Web Designers. This is one based in central London. And here you can see me again, position 1 of Google. If you click on the page, what does it say? Web designers in Soho. It's written content, and it's using exactly the same structure as the East Ham one, but it's got different written content. The content is unique to this page, right? It's all written fresh. It's unique content. It doesn't mention the same words over and over. The sentences are different. Everything is different about this page compared to this one. They're completely different in terms of the written content, but the structure is pretty much the same. So once you've built one of these pages, you can use it's almost like a carbon copy. You just make a copy of that page and then you rewrite it for the next subject area. You can just repeat that over and over for all the locations. It can be anywhere on the planet. It can be any location. You could do one for New York City. You could do one for Manchester. You could do one for Edinburgh. You could do one for London, you could do a London web designer one, or for a cleaning company, you could do Soho cleaners, for example, right? So there's other examples. Let's just take a look at maybe Forest Gate as the last one. I'm not sure if I rank for this one. I did write a page for it, but let's see. Or maybe not that particular term. I don't think I'm on page 1 of Google for that one. So it might be Forest Gate Web Design. I think Forest Gate is spelled one word as well. But here it is. Right, so this one's a slightly different term. It's Forest Gate Web Design rather than Web Designers. But again, the content is there. Web Design Forest Gate. This is the keywords. The page structure is the same. It ranks page 1 of Google. I've actually had customers contact me from Forest Gate. So I do know that, I do understand that putting the effort and the energy into these pages does work. So ultimately, my goal is to look at, somewhere like East London. So this is East Ham. This would be where I live in Ilford, and I want to try and write content for all of this area in East London, then do it for South, then do it for North, then do it for West, do it for the whole of London. And there's tons and tons of areas in here. You can do one for Hackney, for Dalston, for Stratford, all these, Walthamstow. You can build a page, Tottenham, Edmonton, you could Hornsley, Wood Green. You could do that for your cleaning company. You could do that for your graphic design company. If you're selling a service, then this is how you can optimize your pages and try and rank in Google search for different locations. You could go all the way on the other side of London to Ealing, and you could quite easily rank for that. I'm ranking for one for Soho, and Soho's like bang in the central of London, right? Here is Soho, right there, right? Bang in the central of London, right there, and I'm all the way over here in East London, but I rank for a keyword all the way over here next to Mayfair and Covent Gardens and Holborn. So I should write ones for those where people have got a lot of money and they've got big businesses that want to do business, right? So that's kind of an idea of how to optimize pages and optimize content. Write good stuff. Personally, I like to write a lot of words. It's not entirely true that you have to do that, because if you've got a really popular website and you've got a lot of backlinks, links coming into your website from very popular websites as well, then Google will pay a lot of attention to that. It's called backlink profile. So if you've got a website, for example, a very well-known website, and a lot of people are linking to it because it's very informative for whatever reason, then all of these links that come back to your website can also help to raise your ranking in Google search. right? So my website's been around for a very, very long time, and I've generated quite a lot of backlinks. And every time I finish a project, let's take identity for example, right? So I finish this website for a client. Let's just let that load. You can also see this page has been optimized as well, right, for keywords. So you can see it says account-based marketing at the top, B2B lead generation, B2B demand generation. You can see the H1 tag here. You can see all the subtext and some of the header tags and some of the other tags that have been implemented on this website. But for every website I build, I get a little web designer, look, web designers, DCP. So that link right there points back to my homepage. And lo and behold, web designers, where do we rank in Google search? Position 1. But you can imagine that over many years, I've built many websites, and all of them have different keywords linking back to my site. Right, loads and loads of websites I've built, and each one has a link. And if the website has many pages, then it has many links pointing back to my website. So take for example this new website I built recently for an e-commerce store. If we scroll down to the bottom, we should see a keyword like DCP web designers written here, right? Sometimes I like to push something called branded links, right? So it says DCP web designers. That is the name of my business, DCP. Well, it's London Web Designers, but DCP web designers is a branded link. It's not just the word web designer, it's a branded link. So you don't want to push too many keyworded links back to your website. You want to mix it up a little bit and have branded links coming back to your website as well, and just organic ones that have got nothing to do with, you know, keywords. You want your backlink profile to look organic, let's say, right? So that's one there. But this website has many pages. It has a shop, and inside that shop it has many products, and each product will be its own unique page. So if I click on this product, we scroll down, it is a page itself, and that also has a link back to my website. So there's 400 pages here on this website. That's 400 links back to my website, right? But obviously it's not easy to get backlinks. You have to work at it and you have to put effort in. So if you start creating a really nice blog, like put a lot of effort, create a blog. Obviously you know I run a YouTube channel, so a lot of my blog content, like here's that keyword researcher. Keyword surfer for the research. Here's another one about free text-to-speech dictation. Here's one about top 10 ways to keep your data secure. There's loads and loads of different content in here. And I've got stuff on like bookkeeping and web development and loads of different things, right? Lots and lots of different content, and each one is its own unique page. And this can help to generate links coming back to your website. Because if you create really, really good content, people will link to it, right? They'll say, like, if you click here, this is like how to improve my business website. Look at this post. Typically when you see a website post, it might be very, very short, right? But this post is absolutely huge. So I spent a lot of time writing this one, and it's worth having like what we call really dense, informative blog posts. So if we take that keyword, like 30 essential tips for improving your website, if we put that into Google search, then here you can see something called it's almost like a featured listing, right? Here, right at the very, very top, it's like 0 position listing in Google search. So you can't rank higher than the first position. This is like a 0 position. This is actually the first one. This is the 0 position. There's a word for it. It's called rich snippet. That's it. So this is called a rich snippet, right? So if you write really, really good content and you put a lot of effort into it, then you can rank very, very well, and this will generate some traffic to my website. So this is like 30 essential tips, but if I just did tips for improving my website design, then you'll get all these adverts and stuff, and then maybe you'll find me here, right? So that's a different keyword, right? Tips for improving website design. We can even shorten that down to just something like improving your website design, and then maybe you'll see me here as well, right, in position 3, right? So I'm shortening down the keywords to see what I can rank for in Google search. But even here you can see the image, right, for my post. So this content was written, you know, I did a lot of writing on this content. I shared it out to all social media. If we look at its density, just this one blog post had 8,761 words. Now, I'm not saying all your blog posts have to do that, because a lot of mine don't. But if you write really, really informative ones, then you've got a good chance to rank in Google search for that. This is another example. This one's for schema markup, right? That's where you get those rich snippets, like the one that I've just shown you here. Here's an example of how I achieved that using Google rich snippet using schema markup, it's called, right? There's a lot of information in here. This post ranks pretty well in Google search, and if we look at its information, what does it say? It tells us that I wrote 5,000 words, 5,600 words for that particular blog post. Lots of information, lots of useful information. But then on the flip side of the coin, we can look at learning Premiere Pro. So Adobe Premiere Pro beginner's tutorial. If we type that into Google search, here's my video that ranks in Google search. Maybe my blog post doesn't rank too well, but here it is, right? Position 4, right, in Google search. So what does that do for me? I'm also active on YouTube, so I want to get as many views on this particular video as possible. So right now I've written there 60,000 views. Let's just go and check it.
Digital marketers around the
today we can see that it's at 78,000 views. So we can take this is also a good way to get more views on your YouTube videos, by the way, right? So if you're running a YouTube channel and you want to get more views on your YouTube, which is important if you want to, you know, build a good YouTube following and also get lots of subscribers, then here you can see my YouTube channel almost up to 50,000 subscribers. My most popular videos in YouTube, they've done up to like 700,000 views, right? 500,000 views. And I make content on a wide range of subjects. I just share my knowledge here, but each video that I create here is an opportunity for me to go and create a blog post. So that's why I do a lot of it, because I want to write content, build blog posts, share knowledge, share information, and maybe someone will come and read that blog post, and maybe someone will see how I can build an amazing website. They click book a call, and all of a sudden they're calling me and I'm generating some business, right? Maybe 500 people will look at this blog post and maybe 10 people might contact me. But how long did it take me to write that blog post? It didn't take me a long time, maybe at the most an hour at the most, right? It's the video that took a bit of time, that's 45 minutes long. But that video also generates revenue as well. So it actually makes some money as well, right? So if we look at that video, this is a bit off topic, but if we go to, let's see, how do we do this? Actually, I'm not logged into my account, so it doesn't really matter. But that's kind of off topic. Maybe we'll do a separate video about, you know, YouTube and what the advantages of running YouTube and how to create videos and get monetized and all that good stuff. That's kind of off topic for the moment. So kind of to conclude, you know, when I create these blog posts, I also incorporate a backlink down here, like video tutorial created by me here, and it says DCP, and then there's a link there, web design. And every single blog post will have that in it. So if we go to this one, you'll see another one here right down at the bottom, but this one says web designers in London, and that links back to my homepage. So each blog post will incorporate keywords into the content. So if we look at, maybe let's have a look at something quite new, maybe recent. Let's have a look at the best, maybe let's have a look at 5 exact. Let's have a look at here. So we've got a link to Elementor, so that goes off to the Elementor website. So external links are quite important as well. I should mention that. Maybe we'll speak about that in a minute. But in here you've got like responsive website design. So that one links to an internal page where I talk about responsive website design. Right? So when we write our content, we want to have keywords in it that we can rank or try to push to our sub pages. That helps to build a profile of our sub pages as well, what we want to rank for. So when Google looks at all of these pages and all this information, if we've got pages that, you know, have specific keywords like website design, and that happens to link to a page called website design, then we're pushing some power from this page to the other page. So that pushing power, right? We write good content, then we can push some of that power to our other page and help to raise the profile of those pages. So we have many internal links linking to our main pages where we sell our products. This is not a bad thing, but you should also link your blog post internally as well. So you can link one blog post to another related blog post. And this link here happens to go to my homepage, and that link was web designers, and we happen to, you know, rank page 1 of Google for that keyword term, that particular term. So one thing we need to mention is it's also a good thing to link out to informative websites. So I find a lot of people that, especially when I start working with companies, they don't really want to link out to other websites for whatever reason. So if we look at SEO Quake again, if we go to external, we can see that there's some links, right? There's some links to some of my clients' websites here. So I like to link out to them. There's a link to like YouTube and Facebook, and there's a link to, you know, a few different links. This is probably actually an invalid link. I probably need to fix that one. But there's links to different pages inside of my pages, right? Going out to other websites. So a lot of those links will be in the portfolio, for example. But in my blog posts, I tend to link to sources of information. So when you go to blog posts and you want to write really good blog posts, take for example, let's have a look at, a good one would be that 30. Where is it gone? Let's have a look at maybe the spreadsheet one. In this case, I'm linking externally to some of my own YouTube videos because I want to rank them in Google search really well, right? So this has done like 183,000 views. It's a bookkeeping tutorial. I'm not I'm not an accountant, but I run a business and I had to learn how to do bookkeeping, so I made a tutorial and shared that with everyone on YouTube, and everyone seems to like it, so it's a good thing. But here you can see I linked out to Xero, I linked out to QuickBooks external, and I linked out to WooCommerce, right? So I linked out to these websites. There's no advantage for me to link to QuickBooks, there's no advantage for me to link to Xero, and there's no advantage really for me to link to, well, actually the WooCommerce links internally to my e-commerce page. But these two are really direct competition to this video, right? But these are paid software applications, whereas this is a free video tutorial where you can actually learn how to do bookkeeping for free. So they're kind of competing with each other, but I'm giving information to Google, and I'm also linking out to some very authoritative websites that have good backlink profiles that are very popular, and that becomes almost like a little resource for the user. So when they come and read this blog post, maybe they don't want to do the bookkeeping spreadsheet and put all that effort and energy in every month to do that on bookkeeping. Maybe they just want to click a couple of buttons and get their bookkeeping done that way. It's never really like that, to be totally truth, but there's some external links, right, going out to other content. So that's a good example of linking out. And why do you do that? Because you want, we want to link out to websites where there's the best source of information. That's what Google does as default, right? So when we go to Google search and we do a search, every single link that Google gives to you, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a link to something that is not Google related most of the time, depending on what you search for. So if you're searching for, I don't know, luxury candles, for example, then it's going to give you a list of websites where people sell luxury candles. And Google doesn't sell that, so it's linking out to other websites. So in the same way, we should try and achieve that same goal. We should try and link out to informative sources. Now, I'm not saying that you link out to your competitors. I don't link out to other website design companies because it doesn't make sense. Why am I going to bring customers to my website where I sell a product and then link to my competitor? But you can link to informative sources, right, that are impartial in some way. So it's important that you do that as well, especially in your blog posts, and you should try and do that in some of your sub pages as well. So when you're writing content, if you can link out to some sources in your content, that's not a bad thing to do either, right? And maybe I need to go through my pages and optimize linking out to some external sources as well. That will probably be a good thing. So let's just do a quick overview of what we've learned today. The first thing we did is we went to Google, and let's just type in that keyword again. Let's just type in web designers, right? And we looked at this tool, and this tool is called Keyword Surfer, and it gives us some information, and we can take that information and put it into a spreadsheet. Now, there are tools out there that you can pay for that help you to do this, right? If you're just a startup business and you're just starting a new website and maybe you're trying to build it yourself, or you're trying to feed information to your web developer, these are the things that I want to rank high for. Or you're planning to do even a pay-per-click advertising, it will be nice to know what is the cost per click. It will be nice to know how many people are searching for this every month and how competitive it is, right? Things that have lots of results return here, they tend to be higher to rank or harder to rank in Google search. And keywords that are 2 words tend to be more difficult than keyword phrases that are 3 words. So this one here is harder to rank than, for example, London website designers, right, or London web designers. This should, in theory, be easier to rank. We can tell that because this one's got 2,720 results, and this has got a lot more search volume. And then we do London web designers, that's got 53 million results, and it's doing 4,400, right? So we can check that, but the cost per click is quite important as well. So what you can find sometimes is that if you're, I don't know, selling, let's do that luxury candles, right? Luxury. Let's do luxury scented candles, right? So imagine you start a new business and you're selling luxury scented candles. For my business, it's costing me 12 to 20 pounds per click, but for luxury scented candles, it's costing like $1. And if your candle costs, I don't know, let's say hypothetically, there's one selling it for 80 pounds, there's one selling it for 67 pounds, and 70 pounds, and there's one for like 150 pounds for a candle. Yeah, they're pretty expensive luxury candles, it seems. But if you're advertising for $1 a click and you get, I don't know, 40 clicks and one person buys, if you're selling your candle for £150 and it's costing you £40 and you've got enough profit margin left over, then it would make sense to do some paid advertising as well. For me, in my particular business, it's very expensive. You can see by the cost per click. This is why I think it's wiser for me to try and rank in Google search, get organic traffic, and that seemed to have served me pretty well for quite a long time in my business, right? I've done pretty well of it. Having said that, I like to produce really, really good quality websites, so I get a lot of business through word of mouth. A lot of my customers recommend me to other people that know in business, and that's all for me. That's always been like the golden rule. Do good work for customers and they'll always mention you, or even if they don't mention you, maybe their business partners or maybe someone they know in business goes and looks at their new website and says, well, that's a fantastic website, and they may even call my client and ask who built your website, and that's how I get the recommendation as well, right? There's different ways to approach how to optimize your website, but one key one is, obviously word of mouth. It's not really optimization, but it's important as well. Try and get your customers to be the people that market your business, and the way you do that is to give them exceptional quality of work, and then you'll get recommendations from them, which is very important, right? So we did some keyword researching in here. We looked at keywords, we documented them into the spreadsheet. Then we looked at the website, we looked at the page titles, which is very important. Each page has its own page titles, right? So this one talks about London web designers, web developers, and then DCP. Then you go to services, we can look at e-commerce. This one mentions e-commerce, website design London, WooCommerce, web design. That's something that I like to work on, WooCommerce, the platform. And it mentioned those keywords, and this has a lot of written content. So if we have a look at it, it may not be as much as the homepage. They tend not to be. The sub pages tend to be a little bit less in terms of density, but you can still see close to 2,500 words. And you don't have to write all of that content from day one. You can build on it over a period of time, but at least incorporate the keywords into it, right? So if I look at e-commerce website design, that's quite an important keyword. What does it return? It returns 1,300 results, and it's $23 a click. It's very expensive to rank for that, but when you sell an e-commerce website, they're not cheap either, right? They're an expensive products. When products tend to be expensive, the click, or when there's a lot of competition for a product, then it tends to be quite expensive, should I say, right? But luxury candles are not exactly cheap. They're quite expensive too. But a £20 candle could be considered a luxury candle, because you can get candles for like a couple of quid, I guess. So it depends on how you want to look at it, and what sort of budgets you've got for marketing as well, if you want to do that. So we looked at the page title, we looked at the written content, we looked at the header tags, and we use SEO Quake to do that. So when we go to diagnosis, we can see the header tags, we can see that we have no alt tags missing. That means this page, every single image has an alt tag. It has an alternative text to that particular image. So if we inspect this one, we can see there should be an alt tag in here somewhere right at the front, right? Image alt secure checkout. So if we go back to that page, let's in fact go forward, let's close this, we can see secure checkout. So that is the alt tag for that image. Newsletter integration is the alt tag for this image. It's the alternative text, so when someone with a screen reader comes and looks at this page, it will read out, this picture is secure checkout, this picture is to do with newsletter integration, this one is to do with social media integration. What you're giving to Google then is a page that is optimized for people with disabilities and visual impairments, and that's important. Just because I can see very well doesn't mean everyone on the planet can. And if I can help someone to understand what my website is about just by tagging images correctly, then that's good for the customer, it's good for my business, and it's also good for Google, because Google knows that the images have some written sort of content to describe what they are, right? Last thing you want is loads of pictures on your website and someone that can't see them quite clearly has no idea what they are. So that's important, right? And all these images will have alt tags. So when you run SEO Quake, you want to make sure that you see no missing alt tags. That's quite important. And you want to check your header tags. So this one has, you know, a lot less header tags, but they're all optimized for keywords that I eventually at some point want to rank pretty well and try and rank pretty well in Google search. Yeah. And I've got a spreadsheet that documents all the keywords that I wanted to rank for. And each individual page has its own little tab. So there's a little tab down here. And normally I write like home page here. And then I'll create a new tab, and that new tab might be about us. All pages should be optimized. Just because it says about us doesn't mean that you don't have to optimize it and try and get it to rank in Google search, or put some good content inside of it that is meaningful to the search engine and also meaningful to the customer, and try and incorporate keywords into those pages. So try, you know, probably the pages that I don't optimize is like the terms and conditions and privacy policy. It doesn't really make much sense to try and rank your terms and conditions in Google search, right? But then when you build out just like if you're running a shop, like an e-commerce shop, you would expect to have an individual page for all the different products that you sell, right? So if you're selling 10 different types of luxury candles, it would make sense that each luxury candle has its own page. Just in the same way, if you're selling services, you want to try and break them down into sub pages. And I've kind of broken mine down into top level and then sub level pages. So website design is actually a page. If I click on it, it goes to a page called website design. But then when you roll over it, there's a page called standard business. But when you look at website design and you scroll down, there is a page here called business website design, and you can click more info to get to that same page that is in the navigation. So we should structure our navigation in a way that's easy for customers to get to content, but then we should also separate out our pages so that we can rank them better in Google search, or we can optimize them better. If this was just one page called website design and never had any of these sub pages, then all the information about website design will be on a single page. It is actually like that on this page. It's all in one single page, but it doesn't mean that I shouldn't go and write a specific page about lead generation. Why wouldn't I do that? If I click find out more information, here is a page that is dedicated to that subject area, just as you would have a dedicated page for example, for if you're a cleaning company, for example, maybe you do tenancy cleaning. You know, cleaning properties after a tenant has moved out of a property. So then you would have a page called tenancy cleaning or tenancy cleaning London. You want to try and incorporate that word London because that's where your customers are. So you want to optimize for those keywords. You might do cleaning for offices. Then you would have a page called office cleaning London, for example. Let's type that into Google. Let's just see, right? Office cleaning London. Type that into Google search. And we should look at the search results that are returned. Look, 1,300, $24.29 a click. Right, here's all the alternative versions of that particular keyword. And then we can look at some of the people that are ranking in Google search. So office cleaning London, office cleaning London. The next one down, office cleaning London. The one underneath that, office cleaning services. Right, office cleaning services, then it's got London office cleaning, then it's got cleaning services London. We can mix up and permutate the keywords here. So you can see a lot of them are using that keyword, office cleaning London, office cleaning London. There's a reason for it, because people are searching for it, and it's quite expensive to rank for, to pay per click for it. It's quite expensive. It seems very expensive, to be fair. So there's a good example. Right, and it returns 175 million results, so it's very competitive, that keyword. So if you can rank in Google search for that, you could probably generate some decent business. And things like office cleaning jobs, they tend to be contracts, right? So you don't clean an office once and then forget about it and never do it again. You tend to come back and clean it over and over, maybe over a period of time, once or twice a month. You're cleaning it over and over, so that's why people want to rank in Google search for that particular term. Right, and those would be advisable to create sub pages for that, so you can rank them in Google search. You can create sub pages. So internet marketing, here's my sub pages. Graphic design, here's my sub pages. And my blog works the same way. Here's my blog, and here's all the different types of categories. So you've got 3D animation, you've got audio and video, you've got business tips, you've got graphic design, you've got stuff on web design, you've got stuff on search engine optimization. It's not all just one blog with loads of content. It's all separated out into subject areas, and each one has its own page title and its own description. I know it's a lot of work, But if you put this work in, and other people around you, your competitors, are not putting that work in, guess who's going to rank better in Google search? You're going to rank better, right? Because you put the effort in. Here's all the articles, here's all the infographics, here's all the video tutorials, here's all the tutorials based on subject software. So you can click Adobe After Effects, not many there. You can click Photoshop, not many there either. You can click Premiere Pro, there's a few there. Maybe I did a lot more on Blender, right? So there's quite a lot on Blender. If you guys have been following my YouTube, I like to use Blender. Got nothing to do with website design, but I like to learn 3D animation, stuff like that. Got quite a few on Excel. Well, I should have. I need to add some. I'm very busy at work, so I don't really have time to keep my blog constantly up to date, but I try to post as often as possible. But I've got tons of YouTube videos that I still need to create into blog posts. I've got loads and loads and loads. So those YouTube videos really give me a good opportunity to create a lot of blog posts. I think the last one I did was on the 7th, right? So that's quite a while ago. It's maybe like a good few weeks ago. So I need to do some more work on this. Another tip for you is to try and create some tools. So tools are really good. People search for tools. So people might want to look for an image aspect ratio or a VAT calculator or an SEO URL generator or a HTML character counter or percentage calculator or YouTube thumbnail downloader. Right, that's quite a popular one. YouTube thumbnail downloader. Let's see if that ranks anywhere in Google for me. Probably not. It's quite a lot of people have that key. There's quite a lot of software out there that does that, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't build the tool, right? And eventually, if I put effort in and I do some work on it, maybe I'll rank in Google search at some point for that particular keyword. But it's a tough one, right? I'm all the way on page 4. I'm still not ranking for it. But it's okay. If people come across my website and they find that tool, they can use it. And how does it work? You click on the tool, you go to YouTube, you find, let's go to YouTube. Let's just use this video.
Get your clients to love
We'll copy this URL. We can close that. We'll go back to the search here and click generate. And then here you can see the thumbnail, a larger version and a smaller version for that particular video. So probably what I need to do is maybe get some better content. The content in here is a little bit thin, right? It's not great. There's not a lot of information in here. There's some, but there's not a massive amount of information. So I could probably write some better content on this page and optimize it and rank it better in Google search. I know I can do better than this, but it is what it is. When you're busy working all day, you don't have time to do all it. There's so much stuff to do. It's never ending, isn't it? So you need to prioritize your work, your customers first, and then all of these other things, you do that in your free time. Right now, I'm making this video in my free time. I'm not doing it during my work hours. I'm trying to help you guys out in my free time, right? So that's kind of a good overview of how I've optimized my website. Hopefully you find this informative. I don't know if I've confused you more than helped you, so don't feel free to ask any questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, write a comment and I'll try and answer your question. If you're watching this on Facebook, also write a comment and I'll try and answer your question in regards to search engine optimization. It's a never-ending task, to be fair. You don't optimize your website and then forget about it. It's a continuous task. You have to do that all day, not all day long, but you have to continuously do that, week in, week out. You need to try and optimize your website. And when you get to a certain tipping point, you'll get to a point where you get enough traffic and you're generating enough business and you can be happy and content. Right? If you get enough business every month and you're doing okay and you're earning a good wage, then you can go and look at something else to do. So, I set up a YouTube channel, for example. I was running my website and I thought, what's the next thing I can do? Let me go and set up a YouTube channel. That's making a bit of cash. And then you can go and look at other business opportunities if you choose to do so. But all I can do is wish you the best success in whatever business venture you're in right now. So the very last thing that I really want to point out is if we go to Google, we'll just do one more thing. Let's just type in Yo, right? So Yo is a very, very big, popular directory in the UK. So yo.com. I'm going to try and just look for DCP web designers. I'm not sure if it will show, but town. Let's just try and type London. Let's see. So here, right? So I'm registered in Yo. And if I click on my Yo profile, and if we look here, there should be website. Can you see right here? Website. It's written right there on the button. If I roll over it, that's the text, and this is the button. If I click it, it goes through to my website. That's one backlink, right? That's a link coming from yo.com to my website, and Yo is a very, very popular website. It's got good rankings, it's got loads of backlinks, it's got good profile. I've written a good description, I've added some photos, I've filled out the profile properly. Yo.com is free to register on, so this is a free place. There's other ones like Yelp, Y-E-L-P, Yelp. Let me just try and have a look at that one for you. Let's see if we can find me on Yelp. Maybe we'll find me. Here I am. Let's have a look at this one. So this is a bit like Yo.com, but it's called Yelp, and it has a similar logic, right? And there should be a link somewhere in here. Here it is, a link to my website. So that's 2 links. Then you can look at Facebook, or you can look at YouTube. So if I go to my YouTube channel, and if we just pause this video, up here, DCP Web Designers, where does that go? It's a link to my website. So that's 3 links coming into my website from external sources. And there's many other ones as well. There's tons and tons of places where you can generate backlinks from other websites. And the more backlinks you have, quality ones, not really bad backlinks. You can generate really bad backlinks from really like spammy blogs and low quality websites. It doesn't help your business. You want to generate good quality backlinks from really informative sources, and Google will look at that. Google will look at your website and say, well, you know what, this business has got a link from Yo, it's got one from Facebook, they're active on them. So when you go to my Facebook page, if we just look at DCP Web Designers, social media is very important. Although Google, I've read a few times that Google says, it doesn't really look at social media signals. I'm not 100% sure that's entirely true. I think it does look at social media profile, especially like YouTube as well. If you're popular on YouTube and you're doing good things, then it would make sense that some of that power will come back to your website, right? You've put effort in YouTube, and YouTube is owned by Google. Surely there's some synergy there between them. But here's Facebook. You can see I've grown my Facebook page. I don't spend a massive amount of time on it, but I spend some time, right? I put some effort into it, and I get some results, and I've got some posts here going up. I try and automate some of my work on YouTube as well, so I use some tools. If you want to learn a bit about automation, like posting onto YouTube using some like automated tools, then write a comment in the description, and I'll show you some of the tools that I use to do some automation posting on YouTube. But I tend to post a lot of my YouTube videos onto Facebook as well, right? Post a lot of my YouTube videos directly here, and they seem to do very, very well, and get some traffic and maybe generate some clicks. And here's like an example of a video. And videos tend to work much better or perform a lot better than just links to blog posts or links back to your YouTube. But everything helps, right? I do the similar thing on Twitter. I do a similar thing on my Google My Business profile, and I do it on Facebook. And I try to maintain YouTube as well. So there's lots and lots of things to do, keep me busy. And it's always better to be busy than bored, right? That's what I always say. There's never a time where there's nothing there should never be a time where there's nothing that you can't do within your business to help market it better. There's always opportunities out there. If you want some hints or tips, then feel free to comment, and I'll try and give you some examples of things that you could do. Maybe you can send me a link to your website in the comment, and maybe we can try and help you a little bit as well. Obviously, I'm very busy, so I may not be able to reply to everyone, but if I see you're doing some good things, then I'll try and help you and give you a little nudge in the right direction. But before you contact me, try and implement some of the things that I've said to you today. Build this spreadsheet, try and look at the keywords, see how competitive they are. It's worth probably noting the search volume, so we should really put another column here called search volume, or search results, right? Would be a better word. Search results. How many results are returned from Google for a particular search? So if we look at London web designers and we look at Google, let's just do this one, we can see that Google is returning 53 million search results, right here. And if we look at the next one, let's just squeeze this across. Web developers London. We can see that's returning 296 million results. And if we look at web designers, that's going to probably return a crazy number, like 2,720,000,000 results. Alright, so out of these three, which one would probably be the easiest one to rank for? It will probably be this one here, right? that one. It's got the lowest search volume. It doesn't do a massive amount of volume in terms of monthly searches. I'm already ranking pretty well in Google search, so I might even do more work on that to try and push it up the rankings a bit. But this one is also interesting to maybe rank, and I've got hundreds of these keywords that I want to try and rank in Google search. And how do I know which ones I want to rank for? Well, keyword surfer is telling me, right? It's all written down here, all the way down here, right? There's web designers there. It's saying it's like 165,000 volume. If I type that into Google search, probably returns like 1,800,000,000 results return. So am I anywhere on page 1 of Google? Yeah, well, there I am, right? It's a good thing, isn't it? So yeah, you can use this tool down here to find and research other keywords. And if you're just starting a business, then I would say like aim for some of these smaller ones that return smaller results if they're relevant to your business. Don't try and aim for them big boy keywords that return massive search volume, because you got to work your way up to those bigger keywords. Try and work on ones that are like 3 or 4 worded keywords. They tend to return less results, but it's better to rank in Google search and get some traffic than try and rank in Google search and get no traffic, because you're just ranking for something that's super competitive, and you're at the bottom of the ladder and your competition has already started to climb that ladder over many years. So you have to put some effort to try and catch up to them, right? It takes time and effort as well. So like website designers near me, that's a pretty good one for me to rank for, and loads of different ones here. So Keyword Surfer helps me to do that, and there are lots of other tools. There's like Ahrefs, there's Moz, there's quite a few other paid services that you can use to do keyword research, but this is a good way to do it because it's free. So if you're starting a business, or if you're just starting to learn about search engine optimization, then this is a good way to go about doing some basic keyword research. Then you can incorporate that into your content, and you'll be much wiser in terms of writing your content and what you should be ranking in Google search. Alright, I've talked enough. I'm going to close this all down. Let's just close down this spreadsheet and we'll save this work. Remember to save your work. That's the end of this video tutorial. I hope you find it informative. Don't forget to comment and like this video. If you've got any questions, feel free to write in the commenting on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll try and answer your question. Like I said, I'm pretty busy during the day, but if I have an opportunity to answer a question where I think it's feasible to answer, then I'll go ahead and do that. That's the end of this tutorial. I hope you find it useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next DCP web tutorial.